How much do we know about the Daredevil Born Again rewrites that have taken place now, and how will they incorporate aspects of the original series into this brand new canon? Despite being released almost a decade ago now, the Daredevil series is still one of Marvel's strongest events, complete with a much more grounded and mature tone, stellar fight choreography, great characters, and a great story. This has set high stakes for the character's revival in the MCU proper, and we know that the new Daredevil series, Born Again, has had something of a troubled production so far though. While the series has definitely had an uphill battle thus far, it might prove to be just what this production and what Marvel Studios needed at this present moment. So today, my friends, let's discuss everything we know about the original drafts of Daredevil Born Again, as well as how it's being overhauled to more respectfully fit with the Netflix iteration. And let's talk about everything we know about the Born Again series so far being Born Again. Originally, we knew that Daredevil Born Again was set to have an 18-episode first season, making it the longest Disney Plus original on the Marvel side of the platform. But now, this total number is in flux, as in confirmed with an interview with Vincent D'Onofrio. We know that the series has now been redrafted. More details about the original intent have come to light, including key character motives and more. In the original drafts, penned by Chris Ord and Matt Corman, Daredevil would have seen his vigilante life get stalled, and we would find a retired Daredevil after he failed to save Foggy Nelson from some sort of unconfirmed tragedy. This meant that neither Eldon Henson or Deborah Ann Wool would have played Foggy and Karen respectively, as they were not set to return and reprise their roles, which was already a red flag for fans. When it was first announced that the two would not be returning, it put several fans on edge, and now we fully know why they were originally going to be sidelined. It was also long rumored that Matt wouldn't even suit up for the first 4 episodes, and after this idea was scrapped, it has since been confirmed. The original template for the show was to make it more of a legal procedural than a vigilante story. It would have seen Matt fight several legal battles, with the original writers comparing it to Law & Order for superheroes, and we would be going more than 3 hours without seeing the Daredevil suit up at all. What's interesting about this draft though, is that we don't know how it would have fit into She-Hulk, where Matt suited up as Daredevil to help Jennifer Walters in her adventure. It wasn't clear if this would have been his first adventure back, if there would have been a time jump or something else planned. But luckily, we don't have to worry about this now. After seeing the preliminary footage as the show was being stitched together, Feige would see that something was not working, and Marvel Studios quietly shifted Ord and Corman to roles as executive producers, but took them off of the writing team. When the behind-the-scenes team was shuffled around, Marvel would bring on Dario Scardapane, former showrunner for the Punisher series, to oversee the remainder of production and go deep into course correction. This famously marks the first time that Marvel has officially hired a proper showrunner for their Disney Plus series, as originally they had simply been run by the primary directors. For most of the former MCU Disney Plus projects, almost every episode of a series was generally directed by the same person, essentially shouldering one director with the task of overseeing a 6 to 8 hour film. Matt Shakman directed every episode of WandaVision, as Carrie Scoldland did every episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and so on. There are very few exceptions, as Mohamed Diab of Moon Knight only personally directed 4 episodes, but this is still a monumental undertaking for just one person to oversee. Directing a movie is difficult enough, but adding this weight on top might explain why some of the Disney Plus series haven't been as warmly received as the older MCU properties. Marvel is finally creating a distinct role of a showrunner and individual episode directors, which might help to give more time and attention to each episode individually. As for the directors that Marvel hired, however, we know that Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead of Moon Knight and Loki are on the list of team members who are tasked with rebuilding Born Again. This hopefully means that each episode can be given much more effort and attention in order to recapture the original tone and style of the Netflix show, which many fans have been craving. With the Punisher showrunner now attached to the project, it seems Marvel is committed to recapturing the same grit and grime from Netflix, which has created a renewed interest in Born Again. As part of the overhauls, Deborah Ann Wool and Eldon Henson were both brought back to reprise their roles, as John Bernthal as the Punisher and Wilson Bethel as Benjamin Poindexter, more commonly known as Bullseye, are also returning. While we aren't sure how many episodes Frank Castle is set to appear in, it has been rumored that Bullseye will be present in 3 episodes. This doesn't mean much until we learn more about the episodes and what the series will contain. If Marvel shifts Born Again into their own 6 to 8 episode format, then it means that Bullseye will have a substantial role. But if it's still meant to be 10 episodes or more, then perhaps Bullseye will have his own arc within the series. Each of these returns seems to hint that Daredevil series is included in the mainline Marvel canon, and Marvel's Disney Plus page all but confirms this. The Defender saga has now been added to the primary MCU timeline on Disney Plus, showing us exactly where and when each show would take place. This means that alongside Daredevil, the events of Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and the Defenders are all presumably canon to the MCU. We also have a few behind-the-scenes reports about the look of the film, and especially the Daredevil suit. In the Echo series, Daredevil got a brief scene as the Devil of Hell's Kitchen where he dismantled one of Fisk's shipping operations. In the process, he came into conflict with Maya Lopez, otherwise known as Echo, and the two fought before Maya was able to eventually escape. Matt, however, sported some minor upgrades since the last time we saw him. The Daredevil suit is now a richer, deeper red and looks more athletic than the Kevlar suit that we got from the series. We also see that he has upgraded his Bully Club, now sporting the comic-accurate cable instead of just making it into a detachable rod. If the events of the Netflix series are canon, then Matt is presumably still using a special grade ballistic polymer, which Kingpin himself lines into his own suits. In the Netflix show, this upgrade came courtesy of Melvin Potter, former tailor to Fisk turned ally to Matt. But now Matt might have a new source. We learned in She-Hulk that Luke Jacobson is the premier tailor of the superhuman community, and we saw that Matt had his own suit worked on by Jacobson. This suit in particular was the gold and red Daredevil suit, and right now we don't know if Jacobson did any other work for any future suits that we might see Daredevil use. It's entirely possible that Matt simply used Jacobson while he was out in the California area, and upon returning to Hell's Kitchen, Melvin will continue to be Matt's guy. What is interesting about the suit as a concept, however, is that Matt actually abandoned it after the Defenders arc. In Season 3 of Daredevil, he returned to a much more simple black athletic gear, reminiscent of his Season 1 prototype. Matt said that he abandoned what the suit stood for, and Matt no longer wanted to be a symbol for vigilante justice, so we're not yet sure exactly what changed for him. Whatever change took place between Season 3 and his return in She-Hulk though, would have inspired him to become a symbol yet again, and what exactly this was, we have yet to find out. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of the news surrounding Daredevil Born Again? Are you excited for the series now that it's being reworked? And do you think it will be able to recapture the original tone and feeling of the original? Will it live up to its Netflix counterpart? And what can the show do to ensure that it's different and better? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting the channel today. Smash that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great one.